everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and I'm going to assemble their MDF standing and hanging mooses. Hey, so I am going to be assembling first these two standing and sitting moose MDFs using the Gnome Friends moose dies, the MDF standing base die, Doodlebug's Christmas Town 6-inch pad, and Nitpicky Winter from Fawn. And first I'm going to cover up the little standing bases. And I'll be using, this is the Fawn Nitpicky Winter for one of them. So it's got a fun kind of Christmas knit. And then the other one, I'm going to use the Doodlebug's Christmas Town. And like I said, using Barely Art glue. And you do want to weight it down afterwards, you know, using a lot of glue and then weight it down. Next, I'm going to glue down the sitting moose. This was cut out of American Crafts brown cardstock. And I did use a bunch of different browns for these little moose guys. And, you know, you could use whatever you like, but that's what I chose to use. So I am going to cover the whole die cut in quite a bit of glue, get it all lined up, and then I will weight it down with an acrylic block. Next, we will be adding on the antlers, and that's kind of like a light brown color, using Barely Art glue again. Now, all my die cutting today was done with my Anna Griffin Empress, as per usual. Working on a Stampin' Up pad, you know, using Barely Art glue, reverse tweezers, all the things I normally do. So I'm going to line up those antlers, and I do weight it down with an acrylic block after. Next, we will, I'm going to be adding some Distress Oxide ink in spun sugar to the cheeks of this moose. Now, obviously, moose do not have pink cheeks, but you know, these are little fake moose, so we can do whatever we like. So I'm adding a little bit of pink to the cheeks. And then I am going to assemble the rest of this super cute moose. So he's got like a darker brown color of like little hair there on his forehead. Next, I'm going to add his little face on to the main part of the body. There we go, with Barely Art glue. There. And next, I'm going to add the pinks to the ears. This is American Crafts pink cardstock. And then I'll add the brown to the edges in a moment using my embellishment wand to pick things up. And I just want to make sure those are centered. Next, I'm going to add a little bit of glue along the top edge. And then I'll add the little edge, the edges of the ears, cut out of that same American Crafts brown cardstock. Oops. There we go. And once we're lined up, there it is. And I'm just making sure that there's no glue sticking out. Next, we will add his little snout. So what I do is I'm going to layer the snout to the little mouth part. There we go, and that's kind of a lighter brown. Then I'm going to add the nostrils inside. That's cut out of American Crafts black cardstock here. And I'm just going to pop those in. They're really tiny. So there they are. And now, next, I'm going to assemble the little legs. And these are cut out of that same American Crafts brown cardstock. And I'm just going to add in both legs. There it is. And you just want to line it up. Have it all lined up and even. And then I will add on the feet. So same color again. That kind of brown cardstock from American Crafts. And then we're going to put them all down. Okay, there's number 2 is down and in place. Now we will add the hooves. So I kind of put a bead along the stitch line because then it kind of shows you where it goes. And I'll do the same thing on the other foot and then add the hooves again. That's American Crafts black cardstock there. Oops, there we go. Right, isn't that fun? Super cute. Now on this guy, I'm going to be using the die cut eyes. And I cut those out of American Crafts white and black cardstock. And I'm just going to add the black pupils to each little sclera of the eye. And you want to have them lined up on the inner aspect there. There we go. And I do weight it down with an acrylic block. Next, I'm going to add some freckles to these pink cheeks with a Sakura Jelly Roll pen and a number 10. And then I'm going to add some highlights to the hooves as well, because why not, right? We have it out and we might as well use it. And there it is. Okay, so next I'm going to pop up this little snout. I guess, I don't know if it's a snout, muzzle, whatever you want to call it, with some Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. We're going to line that up with the chin area. And there he is. Isn't that cute? So cute. So instead of cutting his body out, I used the same dies to cut this pattern paper from Lawn Fawn called Nitpicky Winter. And I'm going to give him a Christmas sweater. So there it is, cut in a Christmas pattern. Isn't that cute? And then the little furry neck piece I'm actually going to be using as well once I get the legs in place. So there are 2 front legs. And I cut them first out of Gmund Tindalo Woodgrain cardstock just to make things a little bit thicker. And then I will add on the pattern paper. And then the little black hooves from American Crafts. Oops, once we get everything lined up. There we go. And we will add on the little hooves there as well, using my Barely Art glue. Now remember, you can use whatever glue you like to use. Most of these glues that are available are very similar. They work the same, so, you know, do use whatever you'd like. Next, I'm going to add on my 2 little eyes. You want to nestle them right down along that muzzle. And isn't that cute? He kind of looks a little bit wacky, right? And now that we have the little front legs done, I'm going to pop those on to my little MDF moose. There we go. Now I don't want to drop them too low because we will be adding this to a stand. So we kind of want it lined up with the legs. And there it is. Isn't his Christmas sweater adorable? I'm going to add this neck piece. So I cut it out of Gmund Tindalo cardstock, wood grain. It's just a thick craft cardstock. And I'm just layering that with the pattern paper. And then I will put both of those. And I'm going to nuzzle that right up under the chin. So it looks like he's got a fun Christmas sweater on. And then I will add that to the base, the one that has the Nitpicky Winter paper on it. And isn't that cute? Look how cute he is. I'm going to take, these are called Bits of Christmas from Doodlebug. They're shape sprinkles. And I'm going to add a little poinsettia to the upper right antler, just to add a little bit more Christmas. And there he is in all his glory. Now I am going to assemble the standing one. I'm going to do the exact same thing. So I cut out the background piece out of like a brown cardstock from American Crafts, covering the whole thing with, you know, a good amount of Barely Art glue. And I'm going to line that all up. And then once it's lined up, I will weight it down with an acrylic block. Okay, so here we are. And now we have him all lined up, and I will weight that down. Next, I am going to apply another head layer. There we go. Now, I'm just going to line that up in place. Perfect. Then I'm going to add the belly. These are all cut out of the same color of American Crafts cardstock. And there that is. So once that's on and lined up, there it is. Next, I'm going to add on the ears. So that's pink American Crafts cardstock again. And we will line up those little ears there, making sure everything's lined up. Then I am going to stamp, I already stamped the little moose face with Versafine Clair Nocturne ink. And you saw that I actually added that Distress Oxide ink and spun sugar to the cheeks as well. And I did color in the eyes where the white part of the eyes and the highlights are with a Sakura white jelly roll pen and a number 5 and 10, depending on the amount of area I wanted to color in. Next, I'm going to add in my little antlers, which is like a light brown cardstock. And that lines up with the head. Isn't this cute? It's just adorable. I did stamp the little muzzle as well that we will be adding next or shortly. So I'm going to add in the little edges of the ears with my embellishment wand again. And that's that same color of American Crafts cardstock. Then I'm going to add a lighter brown cardstock for the belly. There we go. And this is so cute, right? I'm going to add on the little legs and the hooves. So same thing, American Crafts brown cardstock in the same color, and then black cardstock for the little hooves. There it is. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the other leg once everything's lined up. These are super easy to make. I would think like children could certainly make these. I think that it would depend on how many pieces, right? But kids could certainly make these. You know, you can get them to add little googly eyes on there to make it easier and stuff like that. But these would be fun for kids to play with. Okay, so next I'm going to assemble the arms. So the arms I cut out of Gmund Tindalo Woodgrain cardstock. It's just a thick cardstock. Then I'm going to apply the American Crafts brown and black for the hooves and the little front legs, right? Whoops, I'm just got to make sure everything's lined up. And then I realize, oh, I've got them turned around. And there, now I'm in business. I was having a bit of a brain fart there. I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. So this is going to look like he's holding his little front legs in front of him. So you could have him holding something if you'd like. And that's what I'm going to do for this guy. There we are. I'm going to add on the other little hoof. There it is. And I do weight it down with an acrylic block. Next, I'm going to pop up his little muzzle with some Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. And once we get that in place, then we'll have a super cute little moose with a smile. So we're just going to peel that all off and pop it into place. And look how cute. There it is. Now I'm going to take a secure white jelly roll pen and a number 10 and add some freckles to those pink cheeks because we might as well. There we go. And I'm just going to fix those up. There it is. Oops, I got some on the edge of the muzzle. Next, I'm going to add some highlights to the little hooves with that same secure white jelly roll pen and a number 10. That one has a really nice bold line, but if you want to get into little, little crannies, little small areas, you might want to use a number 5. Okay, so next I'm going to add on his little hooves there, or his little arms. And we're going to give him something to hold in a moment, once we figure out how much room we have. And I'm realizing, nope, that's not going to work. That's too big of a candy cane. So I'm going to grab this one. This one is called Candy Cane Lane. They're shaped sprinkles from Doodlebug. And we're going to grab a smaller candy cane and have him hold that once I get this other little front leg in place, or front arm, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to grab the traditionally colored one. I'm going to sort of sneak it in there like it's holding a fun little candy cane. Got to get it in place. Once I'm happy, there we go. Isn't that cute? Now I'm going to pull out my secure white jelly roll pen and a number 10 to add some highlights to the ones that are on the front legs there. And there he is. And I'm adding, these are called Bits of Christmas, and I'm going to add one of these little poinsettias to her antler. And there we go. Isn't that cute? I'm going to pop that in the base. And there are the sitting and standing moose. Aren't they sweet? So next we're going to be working on the hanging one. ones, or the tag ones, or the ornament ones, whatever you want to call them. And I'll be doing the exact same thing. So you want to glue down the whole body with some Barely Art glue or whatever glue you want to use. And once that is in place, there it is. You're going to want to weight it down with an acrylic block just so you get really good adherence, right? You want it to, glue nice and flat. There it is. And I am going to assemble the little arms again here with that Gmund Tindalo cardstock and then American Crafts brown and black to make those two little arms again. And once that's done, we will weight it down with an acrylic block as well. So there they are. So like I said, these are super cute. You could use these as a tag on a gift. You could use these for Christmas ornaments. Lots of fun. I usually make Christmas ornaments for the guests of my Christmas dinner every year. And it's just a fun thing that I do. And lately I've been using Jaded Blossom's MDF pieces to make those. So there we go. Next I'm going to add on my cute little antlers with some Barely Art glue again, and that's that lighter color of brown of American Crafts cardstock. So I try to use a lot of glue, but not so much that it's oozing around, right? Next, I'm going to add on the head layer with some Barely Art glue again. You can see where it lines up perfectly with everything. We're going to add the pink ears on next. There we are. So that's American Crafts pink cardstock. Lining it up. There. And I'll add the edges on. So these are pretty easy to assemble, especially once you see them done once. If you're like me, I kind of like to watch someone assembling something, and I just find it easier that way. When it comes to putting even like a purchase together, I tend to like to watch a video first. It just makes it easier for me, right? I must be a visual learner. So next I'm going to add on the belly, and that's cut with the same American Crafts brown cardstock. And then we will add the belly layer on. So I guess that middle part is really the body. Now this is the belly. There. So I chose a lighter color for that. Just lining it up. As you can tell from my voice, I'm kind of just getting over a cold, which has been kind of haunting me lately. Next, I'm going to add on the little muzzle. So this is like a lighter brown. And then I'm going to add my little nostrils. I cut those out of American Crafts black cardstock. So these are tiny little things, but when you have an embellishment wand, they're not hard to get in place. And there we go, and isn't that cute? And then we've got this super cute little muzzle to add on. But first I'm going to add some Distress Oxide ink in spun sugar. Oh, I thought I lied. I'm adding on some dimensionals first. These I believe were from scrapbook.com. I had them on my desk, so I thought I'll just use these for now. And I'll peel off all the backings, and then I will pop that little muzzle in place. There. So you want to line up the chin, and there you have it. And I'm going to add, this is the little chest hair piece, right? Or mane. So we will add that in place, sort of slip it under the chin. And then you can add the little arms as well. And I just think this is super cute. And like I said, if you have a favorite hunter in your life, this would be cute for a hunter as well, right? So there is your little moose. I know, to my greatest chagrin, my son is a hunter. I'm not sure how that happened. My husband and I are not. It must skip a generation, right? So next we were adding on the little hooves there out of American Crafts black cardstock. We're going to add that little sort of forehead wave of hair, because how cute is that, right? Next, there's my spun sugar Distress Oxide ink. So I just want to ink blend some on. Because like chalk will not show up on this dark color of brown, because chalk is kind of my go-to, but I figured I would use this Distress Oxide ink. Next, I'm using some trendy twine here and tying a knot, and I will thread it through the little hanger and then through the hole again. And here is my little hanger. Next, I'm going to use these I See You little sprinkles from Doodlebug and add 2 black eyes. And taking my Jelly Roll pen in a number 10 to add some highlights here to the hooves. There, just for fun. And some freckles on the cheeks, because of course it would have freckles on its cheeks. And how cute is this little guy? I just think he's adorable. So you don't have to stamp the face, right? Next, I'm going to add in this fun candy cane. And now there you go. You have a cute little ornament, or a, gift tag for Christmas, right? How cute is that? And of course, I'm pulling out the bits of Christmas shaped sprinkles from Doodlebug, and I'm going to add a little snowflake to this one's antler, just for fun. And there we go. And lastly, I'm going to assemble the sitting tag or hanging moose, whatever you want to call it. And same thing, I cut it out in American Crafts brown cardstock. Use your glue liberally, right? And then you're going to want to stick it down on that MDF piece and weight it down with an acrylic block. So I find this is really simple and fun. And it's great to use your dies for something other than card making, right? Or scrapbooking. Okay, so weighting it down again, trying to find an acrylic block that'll fit. And next I will assemble the rest. So we're going to add on the antlers next. There. And we will get that in place using my reverse tweezers. I have a whole container of these things because I swear once I get started creating, I lose them on my desk. I have about 10 pair, and it's a good thing because every time I put them down, I lose them and I have to grab a new pair. And then when I clean up, I find them all, So I am layering up the head just to make it doubly thick. And you saw that I did stamp the face on with the Moose Faces stamp set from Jaded Blossom. So this is another way you can do it. And isn't that cute? I did ink blend some Distress Oxide ink and spun sugar on the cheeks as well. Next, I am going to add the ears in American Crafts pink cardstock. So you just want to line them up. There we go. All set. And next we will add on the edge of the ear with my embellishment wand there, which is really handy as well, especially for little embellishments. And I do weight it down in between with an acrylic block. There we go. Next, we're going to add on the body piece. Same color of American Crafts cardstock. And then the belly in a lighter color. Remember on my other one, I used pattern paper to kind of make it look like he was wearing a sweater. That was fun. Next, I'm going to add on the little hooves. You could see that I skipped doing the legs because I just, the legs are covered by the base piece that I put on already. So you can skip that part if you want. Now I'm going to put on the little hoof bottoms cut from that American Crafts brown cardstock again. And then I'm going to add 2 little strips of glue to glue down the little hoof pieces that were cut from American Crafts black cardstock. So I know, I use American Crafts cardstock a lot. I have a bunch of it in my stash. I used to be able to get it from HomeSense and Winners, places like that. Now you can certainly get it online in the Amazon store. I just have a lot of it, so I'm kind of working my way through it. Next, I cut his little forelock of hair out of Woodgrain Gmund Tindalo cardstock. It's just the thick cardstock, and then I layer it with my darker brown cardstock just to make it a little bit thicker. And it just, you know, adds some dimension to the hair that I'm going to add to his forehead. It's fun. You don't have to do that. But I find it adds a little something, something, right? So there it is in place. There we go. Next, I'm going to assemble the front legs, which I cut out of that Gmund Tindalo Woodgrain cardstock again, just that thick cardstock. And then I'm going to layer the legs on top. It just makes them a little bit thicker, so when you're gluing them on top, it just adds a little bit of dimension without using dimensionals. So I'm adding on the American Crafts brown cardstock and then the black cardstock for the hooves again. There we go. I do weight it down with an acrylic block. Whoops. There we are. And then I will add them with some Barely Art glue to the front of my cute little moose. There, lining things up. Then I will add on my little chest hair piece, my little furry mane, whatever you want to call it. And there it is. Too cute. I will pop up that little muzzle with some dimensionals again. And I find it really just adds something to add it with dimension. You could certainly have cut a bunch of the muzzles out and just stack up some cardstock that way to add some dimension. That would work as well. But I decided to do that this way. Oops, and of course I pulled the whole little foam square off, so I'm going to add that back. And there we have it. It's got a cute little smile to add to this adorable moose. Look how cute he is. There he is. And next I'm pulling out my Sakura white jelly roll pen and a number 10. I'm going to add some little highlights to the black hooves here and there. I'll also give him some freckles too. And I just think these are so cute. Remember, you can add little Christmas, you can have them holding little Christmas items. Shape sprinkles from Doodlebug is a great thing to add. You could also add some die cuts from Jaded Blossom if you wanted to, right? So I threaded some trendy twine through the hole as a hanger. Next, I'm going to add a little present in front of his hooves to make it look like he's holding a little present. Isn't that cute? I'm just going to add a highlight to the other side of his hoof there. And there we go. Too cute. I just think she's adorable. And then next, I'm going to add on one more little embellishment, a little poinsettia to the antlers. So thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to hop on over to the Jaded Blossom blog, be inspired by the team. The Jaded Blossom store to get your hands on these adorable MDF mooses and the MDF, and the Jaded Blossom Gnome Friends moose dice. Bye, everybody.